Yes, once again very warm welcome in Lisanics for my e-lecture. In this video I am going to discuss description of consonant. As in previous lecture I have talked about the place of articulation, and in this video I will focus on manner of articulation. When we say manner of articulation, it means that how consonant sounds are produced, and you need to keep in mind 2 points: the comparative position of articulators. You know, we use different articulators for the production of different sounds. Sometimes we use upper teeth and along with the movement of our tongue, and sometimes both lips are used. So comparative position of different articulators will be observed during discussing manner of articulation. And the other thing is nature of obstruction. Obstruction means stoppage of air which comes out of our lungs, and it passes sometime through the nose and sometime through oral cavity, nasal cavity and oral cavity. And we see in the way of air, a stoppage can be made by using different articulators. And now what is the nature of that obstruction, whether obstruction is full kind of obstruction or there is less obstruction during the production of this sound. We would be looking at these 2 points while discussing manner of articulation: comparative position of articulators and nature of obstruction or stoppage of air. First of all, the point regarding the manner of articulation, we would see oral and nasal cavity. Some sounds are produced by escaping air through the nasal cavity, and those sounds are considered as nasal sounds, and some sounds are produced, most of the sounds rather are produced in English language through oral cavity. So what's the mechanism behind the production of these nasal sounds and oral sounds? You know, when oral sounds are produced, our soft palate, when we have curve like surface, hard palate, and behind the hard palate there is soft palate, that is also known as velum. When velum is raised, for example, we pronounce like this is the vowel sound and velum is raised, so this is oral sound because air is escaping through the mouth through oral cavity. And when velum, soft palate, is lowered, air is unable to escape through the mouth, rather air will get its way from the nose. Nasal cavity will be used for the escaping of air. In this way nasal sounds will be produced. We have these nasal sounds like you see in this way velum is lowered while producing nasal sound. Velum is lowered, that is why air is coming out of the nose. You can see and this one is and this one is These 2 sounds can come in the beginning. Mostly we don't find this sound in the beginning of different English words, but there is very interesting rule in English regarding the use of this one. Sometimes we see, mostly we see all the consonants. In consonants we have this division, oral and nasal, and mostly vowels don't have any nasal sound, but sometimes we see due to the effect of neighboring sound, vowels also can be called as slightly nasal, not complete nasal. There is a slightly nasal kind of sound in vowel sounds, that is due to the effect of the neighboring sound, that will be discussed in later classes in detail. For example, here we have bank. For example, this one is bank. It can be transcribed like this. Yes, bank. Here this is the nasal sound. Yes, nasal sound. Bank, as it is in the beginning, in the middle. Here, due to the effect of this sound and this a little bit becomes nasal one, bang, ang, a little bit, not complete one. So, as I told you, m sound, it can come in the beginning, n sound, it can come in the beginning, and mostly we don't find this sound in the beginning of words. Here is very interesting example regarding the use of n sound. If you look at the transcription of this is finger, right? And this is nasal sound, and it is followed by velar sound g. But in the transcription of singer, you see n sound is not followed by g sound or velar sound. And another example is, this is the transcription of anger. Here you see this nasal sound is followed by g sound, g, and this is velar sound. But here, in case of hanger, like H-A-N-G-E-R, hanger, here you see ng sound is not followed by g sound. Feel the difference between these words, finger and singer. There is difference between these two words. Finger, it cannot be divided further into smaller units. This is single morpheme, but as far as the word singer is concerned, it can be divided into sing, and this is another morpheme, singer. This is the combination of two morphemes. So if there are two morphemes, as you see in case of singer, n sound is not followed by g sound, and if there is single morpheme, as in case of finger, it cannot be divided into further two morphemes. Morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit of word, and some morphemes are bound and some are not bound. Yes. Another example is anger and hanger. The same case is hanger, hang and plus er. It can be divided into two morphemes. That is why we see here hanger, n sound is not followed by g sound, velar sound. I hope you have understood the concept, the use of n sound, nasal sound. Next we have manner of articulation like plosives or stops. It can be called as obstruents, plosives or stops. In this manner of articulation, we see, as I told you, we have to look at two major concepts. One is the nature of the comparative position of articulators, and the second one is, as I mentioned, nature of obstruction. Here we see there is complete closure. This is the nature of constriction, nature of closure, complete closure of articulators. And in order to understand plosives, we see these sounds are produced by following four phases. First phase is closing phase, second phase is called compression phase, release phase, and post-release phase. In first phase, what we do as close, articulators are close together. For example, these lips are two articulators and these are joined together. It means this is the closing phase, formation of stricture. Stricture is made. How stricture is made? By moving articulators toward each other. Sometimes this stricture may be made by touching upper teeth to the inside the lower lips in case of alveolar plosives. Compression, air is compressed. For example, in case of bilabial sound, we see I have joined two lips. Joining of these two lips is following closing phase, and then air is compressed behind the closed articulators. This is what we call as air is compressed, and pressure is built up because we allow air coming out of the lungs, and when air comes out of the lungs and there is no way to pass outside, a pressure is built in the mouth behind the closed articulators. Third one is release phase. Articulators are moved to escape air. For example, these are the lips. We have closed This is the closing phase, and then air is compressed. Of course, pressure is built, that is the compression phase, and then we move articulators in order to allow to escape the air from the closed articulators. First, these articulators were closed, and then we opened these articulators to escape the air. That is what we call as release phase. And last phase is post release phase. The air under pressure will suddenly release. Air is under pressure, it is suddenly released, and what happens? That generates a disturbance in the surrounding air. As you see, if you put a page before you, you would see there will be disturbance and there will be a slight movement in that page. So it generates disturbance waveform in surrounding air. These are different examples of plosives or stops or obstruents. These are two bilabial plosives. These are joined. These are produced by joining two lips. Bilabial, air is first closing phase, lips are joined together, air is compressed, and then these lips are moved away in order to escape the air, and then there is release of air that creates disturbance in the surrounding air. Other plosives are alveolar and d. In these plosives, we see tip of the tongue is touching our alveolar ridge. By closing tip of the tongue to the alveolar ridge, we compress the air, and then we move these articulators, we release the air. Another one is velar, soft palate. Back side of the tongue touches the soft palate to produce these sounds, and you see this is the nature of obstruction. Complete closure is made by touching back side of the tongue to the soft palate, velar. And these are nasal, last one, these are nasal stops. This is all about some oral sounds, nasal sounds, and plosive sounds. All these plosive sounds or stops can come in all the positions. These can occur in the beginning, these can come in the middle of any word or at the end of any word. Next, different concepts regarding the manner of articulation will be discussed in next video. Thank you so much for your patience. Take very, very good care of yourself and the people who are around you.